Welcome to the Vacation Rental Show, How We Grow. This is your essential playbook to grow and scale your vacation rental business. With advice and insights from the best in the biz, I'm your host, Lynell Gordon. Welcome to the Vacation Rental Show, How We Grow. I'm your host, Lynell Gordon. And on this episode of the Vacation Rental Show, we are delighted to welcome Amber Hurdle. She is a renowned expert in employer branding and culture for a company. As the founder and CEO of Employer Brand Central and Amber Hurdle Consulting, Amber has transformed how organizations approach their employer brands, driving engagement and profitability and brand loyalty. Now, listen, guys, her client roster includes industry giants like FedEx, Marriott, many Fortune 500 that showcase her ability to empower leaders and to unite teams through strategic brand initiatives. So welcome, Amber.
Thanks for having me. I'm so happy to be here with you today.
We're excited because we're going to have you later on in the fall at Streamline Summit. So I was just really excited that they got you for that. One of the things I wanted to ask you, in your experience working with middle market businesses and M&A scenarios, how do you navigate the challenge of merging brands while still maintaining like employee engagement and morale? Like when there's a change, whether it's through M&A or whether it's through, even if they just bring a new management to a property management company, how can we keep our brand and keep our morale up?
Well, I think first and foremost, you have to have a plan. So what I see often is that there is this merge and it's very hush hush because the owner doesn't want their team to know. And I get that, because as an owner, as a founder, you don't have to give your playbook away of what you're doing with your business. But once the decision has been made and the cat's out of the bag, then now you have to really be transparent, because as we move through the change cycle, which is a process that I'm certified in, the very first stage one is loss. People are like, oh my gosh, I'm losing my leader. Are we losing our culture? Are we going to lose customers? Are we going to lose our processes? Are we going to lose the way that we do things? Like, what are you taking away from me? And then you move into the doubt phase after the loss phase. So now you're doubting, like, is this even going to work? You start having feelings of resentment. And so in order to move people through the change cycle effectively, there has to be that transparency. There has to be a plan. There has to be an ask. There has to be a give. If you're taking something away, then you have to have an add too. Like, it's just the way that minds work. So when I go into a company, the first thing is, okay, what is the benefit? This is always the question. What's in it for me? Always. I don't care if it's your homeowner. I don't care if it's your guest. I don't care if it's your employee. I don't care if it's your baby mama. What's in it for me? That's the question. So what's in it for me? What does this merge or this acquisition mean for me as a team member? How is this going to change my world? Is it for the good? Are there going to be some challenges ahead? And so if we understand what that is, now we can start proactively communicating just like we would in marketing. Like if there was an external, I don't know, Nike bought Adidas, it would never happen, but let's just say they did. That would be like, oh my gosh, now what? You'd have to communicate through that. Once you have that in check, you need to show what the plan is. Like, here's this company's culture and here's this company's culture. Look how much is similar. We're now going to merge those cultures together, but we need you to help us do that, because we're now the Brady Bunch. We have kids from this family and kids from that family. Now we have two parents. Maybe there might be some duplication of leadership. Maybe there has to be some decisions that are made of who's going to be the CEO, who's going to be the CFO. Like, those are all things that are going to hash out in this very uncomfortable experience. So how can you show the commonality? How can you show hope? How can you show what we're united and working towards? Otherwise, a very fundamental public relations principle is take charge of the narrative, control the narrative, frame the narrative, because everybody else is going to do it anyways. So if you want people to think a certain way, then you have to communicate in a certain way. And I know that's a really long answer to what's the first thing that you do, but like really nothing can happen until those considerations have been taken into account.
So I hear what's in it for me, what's in it for me. And that's a really good, no, it's true. Especially as an employer, you know, that's really the way that employees look at it. And they
Yeah.
should, because that's what they're doing. They're working to make a living. So that's excellent advice. You've been recognized globally for your expertise in branding. What emerging trends are you seeing for 2024? And how should property managers adapt to stay ahead in branding?
Yeah. Well, there was recently, I think it was in May, maybe March, um, the Google search internal engineering documentation came out.
Yeah,
14,000 ranking features
right.
were spilled in a last quarter of a century. No leak of this magnitude has ever been out there. And how important is brand to the algorithm and how you're being ranked? Essential. What they're doing right now is they're prioritizing brand recognition. So that means the bigger brands, the Vacasas of the world, those are going to rank higher than you, not because they have better content, not because that they have better properties, not because they have better reviews. It's simply because they're branded better on the internet, so the trust is there. So I mean, I can give a shout out to iPrac right now. They're all about trust all the time, but so is branding. So there's that, and then there's also the AI component. So we all want to know about AI, we all want to know how to use AI, but artificial intelligence, what it spits out is only as good as what it is fed. So garbage in, garbage out, quality in, quality out. And you can use it for your marketing. You can use it for your chatbots. You can use it for so many different things if you have a solid brand. And you can even create like a custom GPT full of all of your branding elements. And then you can create any of the output that you want for, like, let's just say, I mean, I'm definitely in the chat GPT world right now,
Aren't
but
we all? Yeah.
I know. Well, there's others. And I've got a kind of like a worksheet that I can share with you to share with your audience, or a one sheet rather. But most people know ChatGPT, so let's just stay there. So you could create a custom GPT. You can put your brand guide in there. You can upload customer feedback. You can upload processes. You can upload all different kinds of things and say, okay, I don't want you to search the entire internet, which, by the way, ChatGPT pulls from like Reddit and Quora and keyboard warriors that don't know anything about anything, that are just offering opinions. So check your input to get good output.
It's
But your
true.
custom GPT doesn't do that. Custom GPT only searches the information that you want it to stay within. And that's how you get consistency over time with truly staying on brand. And on brand isn't like we always use hex code color 660033. That's not it. On brand is brand messaging. It's the emotional connection that you make with your homeowners, your guests, your team. It's so much more than visual, and it's your personality. It's the stories that you tell, and it's so much more. So having a brand guide, which, by the way, I don't know what the deadline is, but if you are going to Streamline Summit, the Rhythm 2024 edition, I'm giving away a branding workshop for those who register for the summit by a certain date. And then you can register
Oh,
because there's only so many seats, but I'm
wow.
literally going to walk you through how to put this information together so that you have a brand Bible in which to make all decisions. If you hand it over to the new intern that's in marketing, if you hand it over to the new agency that you hired for social media, if you hand it over to your website team, if you hand it over to your local news publication that you're running an ad in, then you're the captain of your ship still. You're not letting all of these people like do their discovery process and decide what your brand is for you. Like that's where it gets sloppy. And now you're going to have sloppy AI, you're going to have sloppy marketing, you're going to have sloppy sales conversations, you're going to have sloppy customer service exchanges, and you're going to have sloppy rankings.
Wow.
It's really important now more than ever.
Yeah, no kidding. So, if you had one piece of advice to give property managers, and maybe, just bottom line base, what's the most important thing that they can do to brand their business?
Understand who your customer is. And you have two property manager. You serve two gods. You have your homeowner, otherwise you don't have a product,
That's
and you
true.
have your guest,
Yes.
otherwise you don't have revenue. So you've got two people and you cannot treat them the same. They have different understanding. And now more than ever, when we're talking about 2024 as opposed to maybe 2018, 2019, hear me when I say, because real estate's one of my industries. And I joke all the time. I'm like, well, I stumbled into the vacation rental industry just like every property manager accidentally did. Not every, but most, let's be real. And then I'm like, oh no, I don't want a passport stamp. I want my passport to be vacation rental. And then I will go get stamped in these other industries because I love the people and I love the entrepreneurial life of it. And I love the grit and I love the tenacity. And just the giving, like you're my competitor, but let me give you my process so that because the high tide raises all ship. Like that's the vacation rental industry.
You're right. It is
It's
the best
beautiful,
industry. It is. That is
the
beautiful,
best.
and it is the best industry in the whole wide world.
So that's why we're here, like saying this. But
Yeah, it's true.
your homeowner is changing because they're not the boomer who's been going to, the Outer Banks every single year for the entirety of their childhood. And then they took their kids, and we just want to make enough money to cover the taxes and to cover our note. And, and then when we go, we'll enjoy it. And then otherwise it's a vacation rental. Yeah, there's some of those still out there. But there are people who don't even understand that they're in the hospitality industry. They're real estate investors.
Right.
And so, how are you selling yourself as a property management company to real estate investors versus a couple that uses their vacation home also? And I know that there's so many more in between. But again, I work in the real estate industry as well. They ain't talking about the thread count and sheets. They are not talking about like having a discover and delight. Like they're not bringing donuts to their people
No,
on
they're
check-in
talking about
day.
return on investment. They're
That's
they're
it.
they're looking at their P&Ls. They're looking at return on investment. They truly are not like Robin Craig. And I have friends that have spoken about how much they love the industry, and they just love the industry because they love it and they've been doing it a long time. This is not the same homeowner. And you're
Uh-uh.
looking at, when you talk about branding, like you said, talking about branding is knowing your customer. And we have different customers when it comes to homeowners, totally different. We
Mm-hmm.
have both of what you just spoke about. So I
Sure.
guess being able to understand both and reach out to both is important. Do you have a favorite short-term rental story?
Oh, let's see here.
Like a
Oh,
favorite
there's
homeowner or a favorite guest story?
I've been fortunate to stay in so many of your listeners' properties because I work in the industry. And when I come, they don't have to get me a hotel. They just put me in one of their rentals.
That's pretty
So,
awesome.
yeah, I would say you said Robin Cragen, Heather
I
and
adore him.
Robin. Oh, I love them. But I was just with them in Arizona. They put me in my first self-driving car. Like they walked me to the middle of a dark intersection in some neighborhood and they're like, have enjoy. Thanks for coming to dinner. It was so fun. Um,
Wow.
but
Wow.
there they had, I mean, just a gorgeous home that had a bananas view. Um, oh, I think that would be it. But then there's also the funny stories. So then there's the one where it was still COVID times, but I was essential and my people were all essential. I work in construction and vacation rental. So I got a vacation rental. And on the OTA that I booked it through, because there was not a book direct option that I could find easily, I promise I try. Um, it looked great. And so I'm leaving this luxury construction company. And I'm like, okay, well, this is all in like a really ritzy, like there's a Nordstrom, there's, a Whole Foods. And then suddenly there's like check into cash and vape shops and all kinds of things like that. And then it's like whoop whoop around me. And then I'm like pulling into this driveway and I'm like, where did I land? And it was not at all what the OTA pictures showed it to be. And so now because of that experience, I'm very cautious about.
Yeah, welcome to good branding and bad marketing and actually sleight of hand marketing. There's a lot of that out there. I'll tell you how I get around that personally. I always look at reviews, and if it doesn't have excellent reviews, I don't stay there. I don't care what it looks like.
The reviews
That's
were bananas.
You're kidding. All of
but
them?
know your audience. So if I'm a broke young
Oh,
chick and
oh,
there's
I
all these
gotcha.
beds and then this extra place over
No,
here,
I get
and
it.
like I'm not really caring about the location, like it's in the Orlando area, like my customer was outside of Winter Park. Anyways,
No, I get it. I didn't realize that. I see. I actually look at people's reviews and then I go back and search who the people are that do reviews. I'm really ridiculous though. I know
because we know better now.
because we know better, we actually do a lot. I do a lot of research. Ready to rock your business? Join us at this year's Streamline Summit Rhythm in sunny Scottsdale, Arizona. This September 4th through the 6th, dive into an electrifying 3-day event filled with industry insights, networking, and hands-on training. From visionary speakers to the latest vacation rental tech trends, the Streamline Summit is your backstage pass to property management stardom. Kick off with our legendary opening party, take a swing at our charity golf tournament benefiting the Children's Cancer Network, and end on a high note with a closing bash you won't forget. You'll learn from industry rock stars like keynote speaker Amber Erickson Hurdle, a hospitality veteran and top 30 branding professional known for her high energy talks on personal and business branding. And don't miss featured speaker Galen Emanuel, a world-class improviser and international speaker, transforming team dynamics with clients like Microsoft and NASA. Get your groove on with fellow professionals and amplify your success. Don't miss a beat. Visit streamlinesummit.com and snag your ticket today. I want to change the subject. We're going to bring up women. And the reason for that is your podcast, the Bombshell Business Podcast, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Same as the name of your book, Bombshell Business Woman,
Uh-huh.
empowers professional women. What I really want to know, because I was talking to my husband about that this week, what specific challenges do you find that women leaders face today? And how can businesses better support development of women? So I know that you speak a lot about women in business. So tell me, what kind of challenges do we face as leaders and how can businesses better support women?
Yeah. So I think if I could just boil it down to one thing, it's confidence. And I will hear women say, um, well, I mean, I feel like I'm pretty confident and I'm not arguing that. However, fundamentally, psychologically, scientifically, women's brains are wired differently than men. And where we go to make decisions. So I'm just straight talking how our brains are wired at this point. And everybody's different. There's always outliers, but by and large, a woman goes to the part of her brain that registers and stores what has happened already, the history, because that informs whether she's going to make this choice or not. Does the information from the past make this safe for me to make this decision? Now, I might have changed as a person. The company might be completely different. The players could be completely different. The economic conditions could be completely different. But our fast processing brains go into that space and then it's like fight or flight. Whereas men, who their prefrontal cortex definitely develops a lot slower. So they're a little slower to just like kind of get to like full-fledged executive function. But the advantage that they have, the way their brains are working or how they work, is that they don't have that same process. They look forward, they see what's possible, and then their masculine energy is like GSD, get stuff done. Women are limitless creative potential. Our feminine energy is all about creation. So we like to plan, we like to consider, we like to weigh options. And men are like, I've got my machete, point me into the forest that I need to cut down. And so when you put those two things together, it's beautiful. But men get frustrated in the workplace with women who want to think and plan and reference. And men just want to act. And they don't want to be bothered by that. Give me the bullet point executive summary. Why are we having so much discussion around this? If I break something, it's fine. I'll pay for it to get fixed. Like that's kind of the dynamic. And I don't even want to say kind of, like that's by and large the dynamic. So if we have women are fundamentally psychologically less confident and less quick to make a decision, that's going against us.
I think having the ability to, you said adapt earlier. Maybe it was a different word, but you meant adapt. when you were talking about women adapting in situations of leadership, where their mind may work a little differently. So,
But how you can support that and how you can
yeah.
support a strong woman like you or a strong woman like me is knowing that we are not, we have to have like easily 75% understanding for us to raise our hand and say we can do that. A man needs like zero. I'll figure it out. So, and that's true. And I'm not knocking on men. Good for you, because that's been in my little bag of tricks coming from being a teen mom. I'm like, I don't know if I can do that, but I'm going to figure it out. And I know I'm smart enough to. So, like, yep, I can do it. And that's how I've moved along. So, if you're looking to raise women up in your organization, then push them to push themselves, push them to raise their hand, even if they don't feel fully ready. Ask them, like, well, what do you need to feel ready? What type of resources do you need? And just keep in mind that, like, it would be inappropriate for me to go to a bar with all the other guys if I'm like a married woman, right? To go to the bar where all the guys are going after work or after the meeting, or they all go to lunch after the meeting, or they go to the golf course and they're all like, they're doing business, they're talking business, they're fraternizing, and good for them. Like, as they should, no knock to that. But I'm not in that quote meeting. I'm on the outside of that social construct. It's inappropriate for me as a married mother to be hanging out at the bar at the end of the day, debriefing about the meeting that we just had. Like, it's so, like, how can we have those type of experiences? How can we create those environments where everyone can participate in an equal way?
Oh, that's not going to happen.
It's
Like,
not.
that's just not. I can think of, and I just thought about what you said. And you know what? I was like, well, I did that. Well, I wasn't married either. I was a single mom, a teen mom like you're talking about, but I wasn't married. And so I did hang out in those situations. You know, that's a really good point that I never thought about. Now that I'm
Mhm.
married, I wouldn't do that. You're
Right.
exactly right. Holy cow, that brings another,
And men wouldn't, the average man wouldn't with a woman either, but that just
and they
automatically
wouldn't think about it.
separates. No,
It
they're just going to go
does.
out with their guys, and that's fine. But, like, how can we have those type of experiences at work or online, or like how can we have the experience where we debrief and really go deeper into things in an environment that isn't revolving around alcohol or things that maybe not as many women want to participate in?
Yeah. And I think a lot of it's culture. I just want to say that I think the men in our industry are phenomenal. I haven't
Phenomenal.
ever had a problem. Um, I had one client that I would send um, my CEO at the time, or the president of the company, whoever it was a man. I would send them to speak to the client because I live in the South, just saying.
I did
And
too.
there are men that prefer dealing with other men. Now,
Mhm.
I will say that the same company that preferred dealing with men, women ran the company, women ran all the departments. This is a property management company, and they were not male chauvinists. They really weren't.
Mhm.
They just gravitated toward. If I would go into a meeting, it would be me and someone else with me that was a guy. It didn't matter. They would talk to the guy. And I came out one time and I was like, talk to the hand. And like, what are you talking about? I said, not a word. Not a word did they ask me. So I mean, women do deal with that in business, and it just is a fact. So we have to think about ways in our property management companies, especially those that are run by men, um, to look at women and just be conscientious about the fact that this
Yeah.
exists.
Again, it's what's in it for me. It is. It's what's in it for me. If you're going to run a business, is there as much in it for a female employee as there is for a male employee? I mean, there's just are the opportunity. I'm about equity. I'm not about, like, oh, I want that because I want to be the token female.
Yeah,
Like, I mean,
exactly.
really, on the panel, you could only find one female expert in the entire world of billions of people. You could only find one woman and the other five are men. Like, really? Okay, let's go there. It's just about equity. Like, do I have the same opportunity as a man? And again, like, the man who wrote the forward to the Bombshell Businesswoman is Pete Wyan, a man. A man
Mhm.
wrote the forward because he invested in me. And the people that I can speak to outside of really one strong, who I call her my work mom, and she's still my work mom. but the majority of my mentors have been men, and they've helped me figure out how to do business like a man. But notice I'm still adapting how I do business. So, to all the men who listen to my podcast because you want to see the female perspective or because you simply find value in it, first of all, thank you, Bombshell Boys. But just reiterating that we are both in here saying this industry is amazing. It's full of amazing people, and it's full of amazing men who have daughters and sisters and wives and moms and aunties, and like that love that they show to the industry and guests is definitely permeated throughout all experiences. So I think it's a matter of perspective. And it's not even a matter of like, sometimes in the technology industry, there's some hanky stuff going on there. But I don't think in our industry it's a huge problem. And I think that there's a concentrated effort of men showing up for women.
So the only thing I say, guys, in this situation, if you're listening, and women, is just be conscious. That's all. Because we have good people in the industry. We have really good people. So just be conscious of it. And I believe that most people are, but I think that it's worth mentioning, especially with what's happening today. And the reason it's on my heart, guys, is because of the Secret Service lady last week and what happened there, and then the horrible things that they said. Now, so I'm just saying, think about it. We're not saying that there's no blame, and I love men. I love my husband. I love him better than anybody else on this
Oh, I
earth.
couldn't live without men. Like
Couldn't live
I
without him, for sure.
Yeah, the energy is different. It takes both. Like I want a male perspective.
Oh
Some of
yeah.
my very best friends on the planet are men, and
Oh yeah.
I want to know how they think because that helps me be better. And so
Okay.
we're just asking you to think about how we think.
So think about this. And here's a question, because I just thought about it and I went, whoa. So say you have an issue and a business issue, and you want advice. The first three people I would call are men. The second two, that means after that, well, the first one is a man, the second one is a woman, the third one is a man, fourth one's a man, the fifth one's a woman. Do you think the same way? That's the way you get to think about this, guys. Are the people, and do you have women in your life as well as men who are good at business, understand what you're doing, and are helping you? So,
And I think that's why I've been so successful, especially in the M&A space, because it's very cutthroat. And it's like, oh, we got to hit EBITDA. And it's like, well, okay, well, do you think your people are leaping out of bed to help you meet EBITDA? Like, where's EBITDA inspiring us? Like, please help me understand
what's in
this.
it for me?
What's in it for me? If we just got this huge investment and now we have this EBITDA goal because of this investment, what is in it for me to help you meet that? And so I think men see that I'm very, you and I have kept another human being alive. We kept a child alive when we were children. Like we got a little bit, we kind of have some grit, right? We kind of have some like, I will punk you. Like, come at me. There's nothing you can do. Like I've got rhinoceros skin in that season. It toughened me up a lot, and it also forced me to think strategically. It forced me to create learned behaviors that were not natural to my natural design. And so when I do interact with a man who's a more intense personality, and I do not only attract male customers, but I attract intense driving personalities that have really high expectations, and they show up in their power, and so they can intimidate very easily. They can feel condescending sometimes when they speak, even if they don't mean to. And so I can come in with that same like gritty, no BS energy of like, yeah, at the end of the day, the dollars speak. Like we're a business. We're in business to make money. And if you want to do that, here's how we have to talk to people. Here's how we have to rally people. Here's how we have to present things. Here's how you have to, like, I know this is what you want, but how can you put it in the language of what they want? Like, that's the benefit of being female in a male business world is we have natural empathy. We are statistically more emotionally intelligent than men. We statistically are better communicators. We statistically are better at bringing people together and mobilizing them towards an outcome. We're not as good at other things as men, but those things we're good at. And so if I can meet the male energy and bring the female perspective, now we're winning.
That's great. And that's a way to look at it. I never expected the podcast to go in this direction. but
Surprise!
I have really enjoyed it. I really have. Amber, I'm looking forward to you being at Streamline to be the keynote speaker there. And um, don't forget, guys, she said that if you register early, you get into her class. This is a branding class, guys. This is worth the cost of admission. Just saying, I've been in her classes before. I really enjoy it. It's a lot of fun, and you learn a lot about business branding.
I want people to be able to go back to their offices and implement what they learned. I'm not here to do a pep rally. You can listen to podcasts, and you could get on TikTok, and you can look on YouTube, and you can get your pep rally for the day. Now, I'm going to be motivational in my style, but I want you to have something tactical, whether it's the keynote when I'm opening up the conference or whether you come to the workshop. I want you to be like, all right, step 1, step 2, step 3, we're doing this on Tuesday. We're going to get results in X amount of time. Otherwise, I haven't done my job.
So one of the things I love to do on this podcast is create mentors. And I know you mentor a lot of people
I do.
because I'm in some of those groups. And trust me, guys, that she's a worthwhile mentor. But if people want to reach out to you, can they reach out to you?
Absolutely. So I'm at the vacation rental water cooler every day, also known as LinkedIn.
Yeah, it's true.
You can find me there, Amber Erickson Hurdle. Or you can go to amberhurdle.com and you can follow me on everything, or amber@amberhurdle.com. That's my world of more external branding consulting, brand messaging, and then my keynote speaking and thought leadership. If your company culture is on fire or you need help in mobilizing your people in a direction to to move them towards your business goals, then that's amber@employerbrandcentral.com. But either way, we'll get connected.
I really appreciate you coming.
Absolutely.
I hope you
Thank
guys
you.
remember some of the things that she said that to me will stick out. And that is what's in it for me. And that's always what your employees ask you. Whether you think it or not, they always ask themselves that. And no matter how good you are to them, no matter how close friends, if you have change coming up or you have things that you need to do in your company, don't forget to ask that. Thank you, Amber, so much for coming. I really enjoyed this. I
Absolutely.
always enjoy listening to you, but I've enjoyed having a conversation with you as well.
I have too. I've been looking forward to this since we talked about it. I appreciate being here.
Oh, well, thank you. All right, guys. We'll see you next time on the Vacation Rental Show.
Built by property managers for property managers. Streamline is a powerful software that gives managers enterprise-level capabilities to drive more revenue and improve operational efficiency. Migrating to Streamline allows property managers to gain functionality while reducing the need for multiple vendors, improving flow by logging into a single system and reducing redundant technology costs. With Streamline, property managers achieve revenue lifts by leveraging our fully fledged communication center, reservations quoting system, revenue management tools, homeowner acquisition CRM, and powerful direct OTA connections. Streamline also has industry-leading trust accounting and report capabilities to give you clarity in an overall company performance. Learn more about Streamline Vacation Rental Software at streamlinevrs.com.